Hello, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff After Hours Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, Bill Cannon, a 27-year NYPD retired veteran. I was a sergeant, Manhattan North Homicide Squad, and with my partner with all things law enforcement, a 20 years and out retired detective, Mark DeMeo. Mark, welcome to the show. What's going on?
What's up, Bill? I'm very, very excited tonight. This is like a dream come true.
You know what's amazing? We got like the Babe Ruth of undercovers. You know, if this was baseball, we'd have Babe Ruth on the show. You know, so you folks that don't know, this is the real. Well, this is Joe Pistone. That's his real name, but he's AKA Donnie Brasco. And if you don't know the story from the 1997 movie called My Life in the Mafia, Donnie Brasco with Al Pacino and
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp. It was a famous movie.
Michael Madsen.
The real life story, though, is way more exciting. Joe Pistone, welcome to Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories.
Good evening, gents. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
You know, I would have never made you with those sunglasses on.
Oh, is that right? That's good. I'm glad.
You fooled me. You know, Joe, one of the most amazing things about your story is that you went to go undercover for 6 months and you wind up undercover for 6 years. It reminds me of my old Irish uncle who went out to a gin mill, you know, just for a couple of drinks and didn't come home for a year, you know?
That happened to a lot of Irishmen, didn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, you know, the reason that happened is because we base our operations on 6-month interviews. Every 6 months, that's how they're funded. And if you're making progress, then you apply for refunding and you go another 6 months. So I was lucky that I had a good boss in Guy Barata, who was the supervisor of the squad in New York, and a couple other good friends, Jules Monavolante, and that they saw, that there was some good going to come out of it, and so they extended it the first 6 months. Although I hadn't make any real headway, except met some people, but no real introductions to anybody. But so that's how it went.
Well, you know, I can't believe you hung out in a bar for 6 months and you don't even drink. What the hell were you drinking for 6 months?
Well, the extent of my drinking is maybe a half a glass of red wine or a half a bottle of beer. I can't even finish a whole beer, but I think that comes from growing up around bars and bartending when I could in bars that my dad ran. So, but I never became a drinker. No. And, that's one of the things I tell these young undercovers. They all think that they watch too much television, right, guys? I mean, they see these cop shows on television and, the undercover taste the dope and all that stuff, or drink all night. You got to be yourself. You got to have your own personality, and nobody cares if you drink or not. Who cares? I mean, yeah. And I hung around with guys that, you guys are New Yorkers, the guys I hung around with, I think that the guy with the least amount of hits, I think, had 9 under his belt. So, you just be yourself. That's it.
Hey, you started off in Miami, right? As an agent, didn't you? And then
Jacksonville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Were you like when you got the call to go up north? Were you happy about that, or were you like, because you were leaving the sun and the fun and all that?
Yeah. Well, see, back in the day, you knew you were only going to be in your first office for a year. So back when I came in, you were going to be in your first office 12, 13 months. So it didn't matter where you went, you weren't going to be there longer than maybe 13 months. And then I went to from Jacksonville, I went to Alexandria, Virginia, and worked there. And then I got transferred to New York after a couple of years.
Now, Joe, one of the things I'm so interested in, who invented Donnie Brasco? Who built the character? Who built his past? Who built who he was? Who did that? Who was responsible for that?
I basically did. And of course, I mean, as far as putting all the backstopping in place, the FBI did. But I came up with the name, and myself and my supervisor came up with the profession of being a jewel thief. And we laid out how we were going to proceed with the case. We didn't want any informants. So it was strictly a cold case. When I say cold case, I mean the entry was cold.
Hey, I got to ask you something. Since you're talking about being a jeweler, was it really a Fugazi? I always wondered it.
Yeah, it was.
It was a Fugazi?
Yeah.
Even though you told him to keep his mouth shut?
Yeah.
It was a Fugazi. That bastard. He deserved what he got.
Everything's luck. I mean, you look at it with the loop. Look, it's been so many years now, but you could tell the color and stuff like that. So I took a shot, and it turned out that it was.
Joe, just a little background on you. You grew up in Paterson, New Jersey.
Correct.
You're Sicilian. At one time, you used to speak fluent Italian, right? I understand you don't any longer, right?
No, I spoke it, but in the house, I grew up with Italian grandparents. My mother and father both spoke Italian. All my aunts and uncles, but it's like anything else. You don't, once everybody passes on, nobody speaks it anymore. So, yeah.
If you don't use it, you lose it, right?
That's exactly right. Yep.
Yeah.
And then you went on the job.
I'm sorry.
Unless you're using it on the job.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, the guys I hung around with, none of them spoke Italian other than the Sicilians, the Zips. But the other guys,
I love that term, Zip. That's wonderful. And you went to college and you studied anthropology of all things, right? And then you were in the Navy. You were in U.S. Navy intelligence, right?
Yeah. I didn't really study anthropology. I don't know where that came from. I mean, I had some courses in it, but it wasn't my major. My major was social studies. There was a history major. Yeah.
Well, 2 weeks studying gemology is not exactly an education either. And could the FBI didn't want to spend any more money on your education?
Well, what I did was, I think the school was more than 2 weeks. Actually, I can't remember what it was, but besides going to a school to learn diamonds and precious gems, I also hung out with a friendly jeweler in his back room with his guy. And when I felt that I knew enough to get by in conversations and everything, that's when I hit the streets. And because look,
Joe, that's when you were the baddest ass I've known of any FBI agent. Look at that. You even have a porn star mustache.
Yeah, right. and the mafia told me to shave it. Actually,
really? They had a dress code.
Yeah, they did. Yeah,
no mustaches.
No. When I got to the point with the Bonanos that they accepted me, and that now they let me into the social clubs. Ruggiero, who was my mafia partner, when I sat me down and said, Donnie, you got to shave your mustache and no long hair, no facial hair. We want you to be neat at all times. They made, he told me I had to shave it if I wanted to. And if I didn't, it would show a lack of respect. So
you had to know all those mafia isms. You had to know the rules, right? Because I remember there was an incident where you were getting grilled, and they were grilling you for 5 hours, and you punched the shit out of the guy who was grilling you because he wasn't a made guy. Yeah. But if you would have hit the made guy, you would have got whacked.
Oh yeah. They have rules. I mean, and look, every organization, every criminal organization have rules, and some of the rules of the mafia, some will get you killed, and some will they'll show you have no respect. And I knew going in because you have to you have to know your enemy. You have to know everything, especially when you're going into an undercover operation. You got to know everything about the group that you're basically targeting. And how do you get these rules? You talk to agents that have good informants. And I grew up in a mafia neighborhood. I grew up in a neighborhood where there were mob guys, so you know some of the rules. I mean, look, but one of the rules that'll get you killed is if you get if you get into a verbal beef with a made guy, and you're not a made guy, you can't embarrass him in front of other people. So but you can't back down. But and if you're in this confrontation and he decides to give you a smack, you got to take it. If he's a made guy, you can't lay your hands on a made guy. If you put your hands on a made guy, it's automatic. It's automatic. You're going to get killed. Yeah.
Wow. I remember the guy Mira disrespected you in front of some other people, and you pulled him on the side and you told him how unhappy you were with him.
Yeah, I couldn't do it in front of other people, but that's one of the things that made us split up. Because that guy was probably the meanest guy I ever dealt with in the mob. I mean, even the other mob guys didn't like him, but he was such a money earner. He brought so much money into the Bonanno family. But I did tell him one time he embarrassed me in a diner one morning, and I couldn't say anything because there were other made guys there. But when we were alone, I told him, because you have to stand up for yourself, right? I mean, what are the two things on the street? I mean, you guys know it: your credibility, and you can't lose respect. If you lose either one of them, you're dead. But I grabbed him on the side and I said, Tony, don't ever embarrass me again like that, because I know who you are, but I'll come and get you in the back. I'll stab you in the back. You'll never do it.
You like your knives. Hey, Bob Starkman says he's evaluating your performance on this show. If he doesn't like it, he's going to give a couple thumbs down.
What was his reply?
Starkman, inside both courts.
That's right. That's right. I have.
Yeah, we just had him on.
Yeah, there it is.
He sent me his book more than you did. No. I'm just kidding. I read your book years ago.
Oh my God.
What did he say to you after you told him that?
He was not a happy man. But I never got within an arm's length of him.
Well, he got we'll get there later on.
After
But
that, you mean, right?
Huh?
After that.
Yeah, because he was a knife guy. And I never got within arm, I made sure I was always an arm's length away from him. If we were alone. Yeah.
Joe, one of the things I wanted to just impart to our audience, you were undercover for 6 years and you had a wife and 3 daughters, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And you only got to see them anywhere from 4 to 5 times a year. Is that correct?
Yeah. They lived across the country. Yeah.
So over 6 years, you may have seen your family 30 times. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, maybe not that much. But you know what? The more important thing is that I missed all the birthdays, graduations, confirmations.
Your wife is Irish. She puts up with that shit. My wife's Jewish. She's calling me when I'm gone for an hour.
Does she know Starkman? Does she know my name?
But she's a good earner, so I let her get away with it.
I'll tell you, when I get to Florida, I always know I got a place to stay with inside both courts author Bob Starkman.
Oh, he's a great man. He's a great
man. I'll tell you what. You talk about a stand-up guy. That is,
El Judío Grande.
Yeah, if you called him at 4 a.m, and said, I need you. He didn't say, well, it's 4:00 in the morning. He just say, where are you? I mean, that's the kind of guy he is. Yeah.
And Julio
Why are we talking so much about him?
How about you? Well, he made a comment. Hey, that's a technique he used. He got you. Hey, he gets over on the number one undercover. He knows he was a good undercover too. Look,
Yeah.
Hey,
Did he tell you I was his instructor?
yes, he did.
he told us that.
Yeah.
Hey, we got a question. Who was Sam the plumber from Elizabeth, New Jersey?
Sam the plumber was the Cavalcanti. He was the boss of the New Jersey mob. Yeah. He owned the plumbing business. That's why they called him Sam the plumber. Well, that was his front. I mean, he wasn't a plumber, but he owned the business. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So when you say you were his front, what does that mean?
Well, that's
Oh, that was his front.
his front. Yeah. That he, he was a businessman. He owned the plumbing supply company. Yeah.
Some of these guys actually have a business and work it too, don't they? Like they actually go there and.
Well, if they go, it's to go to pick up some cash. I mean, they may own this and that, and some clubs, some restaurants, but they're not back in the kitchen cooking, or behind the stick serving, behind the bar. No.
Joe, what was the limits of the crimes the FBI would allow you to partake in while in this undercover operation?
Well, the rule is that you can't get involved in crimes of violence. You can't get involved in that. You can't go in and hold up a joint.
So how if they're going on a stick up, how do you say, "Hey, I can't go tonight. My wife told me I got to watch the kids."
That's a question for another day.
Okay. I can't make it tonight. I can't find my gun.
I got a migraine. Hey, I'll tell you, these guys are like anybody else, right? We had a score lined up. All right, we're supposed to go case a joint, and we're all waiting in the club. And one of the main guys, we're waiting, and it's raining like hell. I mean, it's a hell of a rainstorm. And like say we're supposed to meet at 8:00. Well, one of the main guys is like 8:15, 8:30, 9:00. He never shows. So they call it off. The next day, we get to the club. He said, "Where were you?" He said, "Well, it was raining." He said, "I didn't want to come out and get soaked." He said, "It was a big storm out." He said,
There's some cops like that too.
We'll call him tomorrow. Can we post this operation? But that's it's funny that you say that because it's like there's no call. Hey, we're gonna call it. I don't want to play tonight. We'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
Well, there was a book
like
about
everybody else.
There was a book about the Westies. You remember the Westies, right?
Yeah,
and they were supposed to do a hit for whatever mob family. And they go, "Whoa, we were all set to do the hit, but we got drunk and passed out." I was like, there's some reliable hit guys, Irish drunks.
I was going to say, don't you remember, they were Irish.
Hey, take it easy there, Joe.
I'll tell you what, they were a mean crew, man.
The Westies?
Yeah.
So let me ask you, you're away from your family. What was your day like? Because I know there's probably a lot of hanging out at the club, going out at night. You had your own apartment, right?
Yeah.
What you do? You worked out and then you went to meet the boys? Is that what happened?
Yeah, I was a big workout guy then. And, usually the way it worked was you get down to the social, you get down to the social club maybe 11:30. And then you have lunch, you send out for sandwiches and et cetera, et cetera.
Was that a yearbook photo we have on the screen?
Well,
was that your graduating class?
Yeah, that's myself and Sonny Black on the left. He was my capo. And you hang out. Peppers and eggs was a big sandwich, at the local Italian place. And then in the afternoon, you play cards. You talk about either your bookmaking operation, whatever operations you got going on. You talk, you talk about that. You talk about the family matters. Who's screwing up in the family? Who wants to take over the family? General bitching going on, and then maybe 4:30, 5 o'clock, everybody goes, and then you come back and you meet back at the wherever you're hanging out. Maybe 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then you go out bouncing.
Uh-huh.
And then all from a guy who's not drinking. You got to go bouncing.
Yeah.
Someone asked what the years that you were undercover was 1976 to 1982, correct?
Well, the end of 80, the end of 75, yeah.
And then to 1982,
yeah.
Right? And you were pulled out because Sonny Black wanted to straighten you out. Right?
Well,
he wanted you to become a made guy.
Yeah, there was more than that though. I had been proposed for membership in the Bananos. I was supposed to get inducted in December, because that's when the commission was going to, as they say, open the books. And what that means is the Mafia Commission tells each family they can induct members. But what happened was there was a beef within the Bonanno family, and on May 5th, the side I was with, which was the capos I was with, they killed 3 capos that were trying to take over the family. And then I got a contract to kill one guy. That there was supposed to be 4 guys show up at the sit down, and only 3 showed up. And Sonny Black gave me the contract to kill the 4th guy, and that was on the hits went down on May 5th. I think on May 7th, I got the contract to kill the other guy. So there was a shooting war now, basically, and and these guys, they don't carry guns on a daily basis. But if we were going somewhere, everybody had a weapon, had a gun. We had several meetings down in with the boss of Florida, and that was coming up in July or August. And I convinced the FBI to, let's have one last meet with Santo Trafficani, who is the boss of all of Florida. And that was, I think, in the end of July, maybe July 27th. And I convinced them to at least go that long and let's have our last meeting with him. And that's when they shut it down. It basically was because of the shooting war going on within the family. That's basically why we closed the operation.
You mean
I would have been a made guy in December. Yeah.
Tell us about your time down in Florida of building up the King's Court, because in the film, I mean, that's like, it's just the whole film is marvelous, but it's just the whole scene when the game gets broken up and all that.
Yeah.
You went down there, you built a club.
Yeah. What happened was that the FBI had another undercover operation going in Florida, and they had a nightclub going. They were getting, half-ass wise guys, with that. These are, guys from New York that were down there, but they were just doing a little stuff, and they weren't advancing into Trafficani, who was the boss of all of Florida. So they asked me if I can go down there and get the Bonanos interested, which we did. And to make a long story short, through Sonny Black and the Bonanos, we were able to set up meetings with Santo Trafficani, and we formed a marriage with the Bonanos and the Trafficanis. We formed a marriage. We had this pretty nice club going, as you say, King's Court, and we were running gambling games out of there, and we were paying off the undersheriff of the county. And then one night we got busted.
Did you ever take a pinch?
Yeah, we all went to the can that night, but
how come you didn't say, "Hey, I'm FBI"?
Yeah, got to keep the operation going,
That's for sure.
Tell us, and the boat story, getting that boat. Did they ever find out about that? Is that real true that Lefty found out about the boat? Knew about the boat?
Yeah, the FBI had a boat, and I took.
It was the Afghan, right?
I'm sorry.
What was the name of the boat? The Afghan or something?
Left hand. No,
the left hand. Yeah.
And so we went out on it and went fishing. With we went down to Miami one time and went fishing on it with all the wise guys, and the FBI had another undercover operation going. You might remember, it was called Abscam. With all the politicians, and the media got wind of it, and they wouldn't hold it. They wouldn't hold the story. So the FBI had to wrap up that investigation. And when they did, when the whole story came out, the book was featured in, I think it was Newsweek, right on the cover of Newsweek.
Yeah.
And I'm with Lefty on an airplane one time, and he's looking at the magazine. And he said, "Donnie, you recognize this boat?" "No, Left, I don't recognize that boat." He said, "That's the boat we were on." "Nah," he said, "Donnie, that's the federal boat." I said, "No, it's not." He said, "What's the name of that boat?" I said, "Let me look at it. The Left Hand." He said, "What's my name?" I said, "Lefty."
Okay, how could he forget it, right?
I said, "Left. Look, if they were after us, they would have arrested us already,
Uh-huh.
But you remember how I got that boat, right? We met these ladies in San Diego, and you bought them dinner, and when they were leaving, one of them gives a card and said, "Hey, if you're ever in Miami, call my brother. He's got a boat." I said, "What do I know? You were there with me, right?" So he bought it, but we continued for 3 more years. So
He's not that smart, but you got a good line of shit, that's for sure, man. You talked him out of it. You talked him right out. Ryan Investigative, Bill Ryan wants to know, how accurate was the movie?
The movie was about 85%. The book was 100. What was not accurate in the movie, and I want to get this across to the audience, is I never slapped my wife. That was not in the original script. The director put that in on the day of filming. So for your listeners,
that's important, man.
That's very, very important.
That's right.
And
because just like you think all Irish guys are drunks, everyone thinks all Italian guys hit their wives.
And I didn't cut that guy's leg off with a hacksaw.
Yeah.
They actually cut him up with a chainsaw. He was so big.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I didn't have 300,000 in a bag.
Probably not. Mark, Joe, we got to go to a quick commercial, okay?
All right, yeah, go ahead.
Hey, what's up, everybody? We all know about Silk City Hot Sauce, the best hot sauce in the world, made using locally grown peppers. And there are several flavors from mild to wild. Please visit silkcityhotsauce.com. Put in OTC for off the cuff, and you'll get a 15% discount. Trust me, you'll love it. It's great. I have it every day.
Any of you New Yorkers tired of the high taxes? Tired of the government? Tired of Cuomo? Tired of de Blasio? You want to get the hell out of New York? Well, Carol Waters sells real estate down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. She's a former bartender from Fitzpatrick's Hotel in New York. Her husband is a rollover NYPD to the FDNY. They both are two of the most successful real estate salespeople down in Myrtle Beach. Carol Waters sells MB at Gmail. Give her a call at 914-261-6681. You're getting jammed up. You need an attorney. You're getting in all kinds of trouble. Well, Joe Murray is a retired member of the service, a retired police officer. He's a big supporter of Police Off the Cuff. And we told him, all you people getting in trouble watching this show, if you need a good attorney, he has a website, joe@jmurray-law.com. So give him a call. Joe, you know what I always wanted to know also?
Yes, sir.
As cops, and I consider the FBI cops, your law enforcement, right?
Yeah.
we have certain body language that we exhibit. And I worked like for 6.5 years in anti-crime, which is a lot different what you did. But I remember I was staking out this crew that was going to do a front break, and they had the cap from the fire hydrant they would throw through the window, and I couldn't get a good vantage point, so I walked a little closer than I should have. And the guy says, "Hi, officer," and I did a little stutter step, and I went, "Oh shit." And then I slapped the shit out of the guy, but he got me just with that. You know what I mean? Was there any times in your undercover that someone, saw something, or you did? Look, cops will stand back because they take the pressure off their back with their feet, and that's body language that we exhibit. We can't help it.
And when you go without thinking, where do you sit when you go into a restaurant, right?
That too,
against the wall.
And facing the door. Do wise guys do that too?
Yeah. They got a lot of the same traits. They don't want to be found out.
Looking people in the eye. When you walk into an establishment, you look everybody in the eye because you're looking at the room, and it's something that. And when you meet eyes with somebody that you don't trust, you don't look away. Most people would look away. They see somebody scary, they look right away. Cop will stay looking, and even if you're in regular clothes. And I would imagine it's a similar trait to being a mobster too. You're not going to look away from anybody.
No, because, look, one thing about these guys, I mean, the real mobsters, today, these young guys that, but the real mobsters, you can't embarrass them. And like you said, that was one of the good things because I found that, to be very disarming. Most people don't look at people in the eye when they talk to them,
Right.
So, I always did. It's a good trick when you're working undercover. But mob guys are like that too. You never see them going one-on-one with somebody and looking down or looking at, they're looking straight at them. So a lot of the traits that we carry, they actually carry too,
You speak of that, but also, like in my neighborhood that I grew up with, there's rumors of certain people wind up becoming and growing up. Some kids that I grew up with, they wound up, going into that life, but they weren't the toughest guys in the neighborhood. They were the nice people, and I guess if somebody messes with you, that's when you see that side. Otherwise, they're, if you're not connected in that world, everybody else is, you treat them like people, like nice. You're a nice person. What do you think? It's inside that world that it gets a little tricky. If you need something from them.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, some guys I hung with. I mean, they weren't real tough guys. With their fist or anything, but they would have no problem pulling out a knife and stabbing you, or pulling out a gun and shooting you. It's just something else that's in there. But if you went one-on-one with them, hand to hand, you'd really take care of them. And then some guys are just regular guys, like Sonny Black. I mean, I could sit and talk to him for hours. There he is. I could sit and talk to him for hours. But a stone cold killer. And the guy behind him is Santo Trafficani, actually. He was the boss of Florida.
Joe, I wanted to bring something up about Sonny Black. And tell me if this was true. Well, this was true because it was in your book. You said everything in your book was true. You guys were going into a restaurant, and somehow, I don't know, you let your guard down, and some mope came up and put a knife to your face and was going to rob you. And Sonny Black knocked the guy out. And in essence...
that was we were going to a card game.
Okay.
And actually it was... It was Ruggiero. Yeah.
It was Lefty?
Yeah.
So Lefty could hit, huh?
Yeah, he wasn't. He was only probably 150 pounds soaking wet, but as we say, he was a little bots.
You know what I seen? I love from the movie when he's cooking in his wife in the kitchen with his wife. And then he kind of sort of yells at her, "Shut up! Don't say that." And then he's nice to her. 2 seconds after that?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, he was a hell of a cook, man.
Yeah.
I used to love to go over his apartment and eat.
Hey, Joe, was it sauce or gravy?
Well, if it has meat, it's gravy, right?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
If it doesn't have meat, it's sauce, right? DeMayo, tell him.
I don't know. I'm not even. DeMayo's his stage name. My
Oh.
last name is Sanchez. When I was on the job, I didn't want anybody to know what I was doing with the acting, so I came up with this whole other person.
Oh, okay.
But tell us about that. What are you doing over there? You're in Florida there?
That's in Florida. That's around the pool. That's me and Sonny Black. That was on one of our meetings with that we had to meet Trafficani. We were just hanging out at the pool. Yeah.
Were you considered to be a good earner?
Yeah, actually I was, because I was able to well, when I married up the Bonanos with Trafficani, we had that club, and the club was going good. And before that, I actually was able to, when I say, and I'm saying me, but it was, the operation. The FBI had another undercover operation going out in Milwaukee against the Balistreri family, who was connected to Chicago. And I was able to marry them up with the Bonanos. So yeah, I was considered a pretty good earner. Yeah.
Did you ever give him just money from some jewel heist that never even happened? That was just
I had to. Every once in a while I'd bring around a couple thousand and give it to Lefty or give it to Sonny and say, hey, I did a score out at the airport. Because everybody was stealing from the airports, right?
It's funny how sometimes you couldn't get the resources from the FBI that you needed to do certain operations. And it reminds me of the NYPD. I remember when I was in the 2-3 squad, we were down to one car, and that car broke down. We had no cars. We were walking to murders. And they were like, you can't believe this shit. The biggest police, the most famous police department in the world, and the detective squad has no cars.
Yeah. Well, with us, it wasn't so much the money. It was we get funded every so, the undercover operation gets, and I don't know how they do it now because, I've been out of it, but we would get funded. I think it was once a month or whatever. And if the funds got low, and I used to get mine in cash because I had to pay for my apartment, I had to pay all my utilities. So my guy used to just hand me cash because we didn't have anything set up with contacts as far as my apartment, my car. I just went out and bought a car. Everything was done just like I was a regular guy, just going to do it.
What kind of car did you have?
I'm sorry?
What kind of car did you have?
I started out with a Cadillac.
Of course you did.
But then what I did was once I infiltrated with the Bonanos, and I lived up on 92nd, and I lived in Yorkville, Rupert Towers.
Yeah.
That's where I lived. And once I got in with them, and then what I did was I got rid of the car. And I said, guys, and I'm talking to the left, they said, it's costing me, I don't know, $300 a month to park this car. Of course, that was cheap back then, but it was a lot of money. I mean, back then it was a lot of money. I said, I'm going to sell my car. What do I need this car for? If I need a car, I can borrow yours.
Or you could just take an Uber.
Yeah.
It's such a smart, real thing to do.
But think about it. What did that make me? It made me a real person.
Yeah, it's such a smart, real thing to do.
Really, it's like everybody wants all this flash, cash, cars,
What would a real person do? What do I need this car for?
So I got rid of it. When I had to go downtown, I took a cab.
Uh-huh.
I took a cab.
Hey, Joe, I would never ask this question, because I'm a stand-up guy, but one of the ladies wants to ask you this question. Is it okay?
I can read it.
She says, how did you stay away from the ladies when you were single, according to them?
Because I was a good undercover agent and I had a good line of BS. That's why.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. This makes a lot of sense because if you're single and you're out in the clubs and everything, and all these gorgeous women are coming on to you, how did you like play off that you?
Well, what I did was, everything is set up when you first go under. Okay, I mean, you got to set up your whole background, who you are, and my story is that I had a girlfriend in California, and I was just loyal to my girlfriend in California, and whenever I did go home, that's where I tell Lefty I was going. I was going to see my girl in California. Nobody. It's like as long as you got a story that's believable, that's all you need.
But how about this? Would be a huge fear for me that you would run into someone that you know from your other life while you're with your wise guy friends.
Well, did you see the movie? I did.
Yeah. Is that what happened in the airport?
Yeah.
I forget that. I saw the movie. Look, the movie came out in '97. I don't exactly remember every scene.
100 times. I've seen the movie 100 times.
All right. Who'd you run into in the movie?
Another FBI agent.
No, it was a lawyer.
A lawyer, USD.
That was a U.S. attorney, and I was in the airport with Sonny, and
you said the guy tried to grab my ass, right?
Well, I said,
right?
What happened was that the guy's calling, hey Joe. So when he gets up close, I hit him, and Sonny said, I said, come on, Sonny, let's get out of here. He said, what did you hit him for? I said, Sonny, the guy was looking at my prick. I thought maybe he was going to grab it. I don't want to insult your audience or anything.
No. It's funny. It's great.
But I swear to God, though, whenever I travel, for whatever reason, I run into people I know. So it can happen, right? It really can happen. Yeah. You could run into Bob Starkman anywhere. You don't know where that guy's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, you could be in Rome and you run into him. Believe me.
I know.
He's Roman. He's Roman.
Hey, there we go.
I want to plug your books a little bit. There's Donnie Brasco, My Undercover Life in the Mafia, and Donnie Brasco, Unfinished Business. And what's the Unfinished Business book about?
That's the second book, with the trials and stuff that I couldn't say in the first book because I was still testifying. So Unfinished Business is, what happened when I was done testifying, et cetera. And can I also mention my podcast? Is that
absolutely?
Yeah.
I got a podcast called Deep Cover, The Real Donnie Brasco. We're in our second season. The first season, I think we did 19 episodes. And this season, it drops every Wednesday. Tomorrow it'll drop. And tomorrow I'm on with Michael Frances. You know who Michael Frances?
Oh, yeah. He's got that guy's doing well in the podcast world.
Yeah, I've known Michael for over 20 years. I met him when I was under, never did anything with him. Then actually we met when he got out, I got out, and we became friends. He's one of the guys that went legit. I mean, he really did.
Sammy the Bull has a podcast too now.
Yeah.
It's a good podcast.
You don't want to comment about that one.
Why is that?
Well,
I don't know.
Couldn't you read his body language? I could read it.
Right, I get it. But that was a little bit after your time anyway. You already.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know Sammy, so I can't make but I know Michael, and like I say, Michael's legitimately legit. If that's but yeah, it's Deep Cover, The Real Donnie Brasco, and Jam Street Media is the production company. But you can get it on Apple or Spotify, anywhere you get your you get your podcast. And the new one, like I say, a new one drops every Wednesday.
Isn't it amazing what a long life it is, where you could go through all these different things in your life, and then here you are, everybody's got a podcast.
Yeah. And what's crazy is that when you're doing it, you never think you're gonna, like when I'm working that operation, I'm not thinking about a book. I'm not thinking about a movie. I'm not thinking about.
No way.
You're just doing your job. I mean, right or wrong, right? You guys know you're just doing your job. That's it.
Joe, someone wants to ask, looking back during your assignment, is there anything you would do differently?
Anything I would do differently? Yeah, there was some people that I would have liked to have put in jail that I didn't.
You know, one of the things that I find so interesting about you is that even though you had intimate relationships with all these people, you still knew the line. And when everything was going down, the movie is very sympathetic to it. Like the music that's playing in the background, it kind of almost lends itself to believe that you felt bad and all this, that, and the other. But that's not the truth.
No, it's not. And another thing that comes to mind. My wife and I never went to a psychiatrist. I mean,
marriage counselor.
Marriage counselor. Yeah, that never happened. She understood what was going on, and we look. Guys go undercover for a lot of different reasons, and I went undercover because when I first started doing it, I was good at it. Some guys go undercover because they want to get away from their home situation. They want to get away from, their work situation. That's not the reason I went. I went because, I was good at it, and I don't mean to pat myself on the back, but I mean that's, to me it was just another part of the investigation. I mean, all the undercover operations I did. When it was time to quit, I quit. When I said quit, I mean when they ended, they ended. I would have liked this one go because my thing was, hey, look, we got a shot to get an FBI agent made into the mafia. Can you imagine the embarrassment? But
But there is also too. You did mention that you wanted people to go to jail, but you didn't want them to die. There was a lot of people who got killed after that. A lot of mobsters.
Yeah,
exactly.
Exactly. Your job, is to gather evidence and bring them to court and get them convicted and put them in jail. Even though these guys were killers, I didn't want to see anybody get killed. I mean, they killed Sonny Black. They killed Tony Mira. Tony Mira, that's kind of iffy, about.
You didn't feel too bad about him.
I didn't feel too bad about him getting whacked. And they killed the Colombo guy, and Lefty was on his way to get whacked, and the FBI picked it up on a wiretap that he was that they were going to whack him when he got to the club. So they snatched him up, and I think he did 15, and then he had terminal cancer. So they
cancer of the dick.
That guy had more cancers and he wouldn't die.
That was the line for the movie, Bill. I got cancer of the dick.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I got cancer of the dick.
That's the truth. He did.
Joe, you said before, like something about the movie said that you and your wife went for counseling. But one of the things that we acknowledge as law enforcement, we have on our show a lot of times, that most of us have a level of PTSD. I mean, we've seen some horrendous shit, and I don't think there's any shame of admitting to that. I think I have a touch of it. Do you think you got a touch of PTSD from seeing and doing the things that you've done?
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I don't know the symptoms.
Well, do bad things pop into your head sometimes? Pictures of things that you've seen? No, I'm telling the truth. I'm telling the truth.
When I first, up until a few years ago, I would go into a restaurant and tell them I had a reservation, and I never did. I don't know if this. If they say you don't have any reservations, I say, well, you better check. I think I do have one. And I got to, sometimes I don't suffer fools. I don't like incompetent people. Now that might be
You think that's PTSD?
Yeah, but I think that helped you get along in your undercover operation. All these traits that you had, you don't suffer fools.
Yeah,
Neither does a mobster either.
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? You talk about PTSD, Bill. I did a podcast today, and somebody asked me about did you ever witness a suicide? And then they all went through my head, and like in 1 second, I saw like 5 of them, real quick, like all the ones that I could remember off the top of my head. And it's an odd thing when people tell you that, because I don't think about it, but it's back there somewhere.
Right, those pictures are imprinted in your brain.
What pops into my head every now and then is when I was with Naval Intelligence, we had a suicide, an officer, and just going into his BOQ was like, I mean, but yeah, everyone's, and that happened in, how many years ago?
I had a 19-year-old girl from the Manhattan School of Music jump off the 6-story thing. And
wow.
Yeah. That's something that you never forget. The shoes.
Yeah. Well, Joe, how about like when Bob Starkman picks up a dinner check?
Well, yeah.
Do you get PTSD from that?
I'll tell you what. I can't say anything bad about Starkman paying luncheon or coffee. Every time I'm down in Florida and I go out with him, he picks up the luncheon tab.
Joe, I'm just busting his balls. This is cop humor. Oh, also, Dr. Stephen Washkill, who is actually a PTSD and suicide expert, he has a question. Once they closed the operation, was there any form of debriefing before returning to the real world?
Yes. What happened is that once they closed the operation, I go to Washington. I sit down with people at headquarters. We go over the whole Magilla, everything, the case. Now, if he's asking, was there a psych debriefing? No, back then we didn't have that. We have it now. But there was enough debriefing with U.S. attorneys, FBI agents, in I think 6 different divisions. So that was my debriefing. I mean, now we have a full complement of psychologists that are FBI agents that work with our undercovers. Yeah.
Joe, Juan Valdez asked, Joe, what do you think of the FBI today?
I think that the working street agents are out doing their job. I don't have too much love for the 7th floor. And the 7th floor is FBI headquarters. The street agents.
It's the one police plaza of the feds, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, right.
Puzzle Palace.
The street agents are out because I got I got a relative. One retired a couple years ago. One still in that are agents, and the brick agents are out there doing what they got to do. And I hate to say it because I love the FBI, but we had a couple directors that really put the screws to the organization. Yeah.
Hey, if you were in charge of the FBI right now, would you focus on organized crime, or would you more focus on domestic terrorism, BLM, Antifa, all these other groups that the riots and all these other things?
I'd focus on the groups that are committing the crimes, the ones that are committing riots. Antifa, I don't know, they're the groups that I would focus on, and I wouldn't let my foot off the Italian organized crime, the Russian organized crime, the Albanian organized crime, the Colombians, the Jamaicans. I mean,
but they've
got a pass because we're focusing on, domestic people that love the country. It's
Yeah, but there was a moment there, for a couple of years, where you saw this rounding up all the bookies the day of the Super Bowl, coming out of their house, all the Italian mob guys who were taking bets for the game. Now all that stuff is online and legalized. But I used to get a kick out of it. I'm like, is that what we're doing? Really? We getting these old men for taking money for betting on the Super Bowl?
Yeah, well, it all it all goes back to who's making all the money and who's not making the money, and how big, how the drugs are coming across the border. Do we have a crisis at the border?
I think so.
What's your opinion?
100%.
My opinion is, thank God I live up here.
How come if you're from Ireland, Italy, you can't just come in, and get handouts from the government, or from these other
Well,
countries?
you could, but you'd have to take a flight to Mexico, and then you'd have to walk in there.
Yeah, exactly.
Joe, someone asked in regards to that U.S. attorney that ran into you in the airport. Years later, did you ever follow up with that guy?
Yeah. I mean,
Did you ask him why he was trying to grab your balls?
No, he's looking at my prick.
Yeah.
guys, and he didn't know that I was working undercover, because I hadn't seen him in years.
Right.
So, but it all was good. All worked out.
It's such a small world.
Yeah.
Joe, you have the most amazing story, and I mean, you're 81 years old. Is that correct?
Man, you asking me my age?
Well, I know you're 80. No, that's a statement. Yeah. You're in unbelievable shape. Are you still playing hoops?
No, but I work out. I do light weights and jump rope, and but yeah, I love
you look fantastic.
I don't think I can. I don't think I can see a jump shot anymore. I don't know.
Well, we got you. Well, we still got you. The taking off the shoes in the Japanese restaurant. Did that really happen?
Yeah, but it wasn't that bad. I mean, that guy didn't get beat up like that. No.
What, you just got a smack in the face? Shut up.
Yeah. The rest of it was
embellished.
Yeah. Well, like they say, we got to put asses in the seats, right?
Yeah. But that was an interesting moment. You had the because just being undercover, you have to record this stuff. There has to be evidence, documented evidence. So you're not just undercover floating around with everybody all day. That's not a problem. It's the fact that you have to have this recording device on you. Like, why do you have a recording? If anybody ever found that recording device, you'd be dead.
Exactly. And in all honesty, I didn't wear a device that many times. It was when I figured that I was going to get into good conversation that I should record. But most of it was just, what we call a 302 report of an interview, or my conversations with people. And I never wrote anything down. I would telephone my contact agent and just regurgitate everything over the phone to him.
Okay, because in the movie you see you sitting down there writing your reports out.
Yeah, no, that never happened. No.
Mark, I just want to shout out to some of our folks listening in the chat. Of course, Peter Pranzo, Harlem Raiders fame, K-Jack Images, Richella Pranzo, Mimi J2, Matt Sully, Liam, Ryan Investigative Group, Matt Sully, Joey Brooklyn, Smith Bro, Boxing MMA, Suzanne Reek, Joe Murray. We read your commercial before, Joe. Joshua, thanks for all your help. Gaspar Ramirez, Bob Starkman. Bob, I don't mean to break your balls, but you were a convenient scapegoat during the show. I love you. I want to visit you guys in Florida, and we'll go out. But Joe's still deep undercover. He gives me a pseudonym in his email. Starcosa News, Topics and Visual Articles, Black Rose, OG Bosgale. Who else we got here? We're going through this fast. Gaspar Ramirez, Bob Starkman again. Stephen Washgill.
He gave a $10, a $9.99 super sticker.
Thank you guys, all you folks. I couldn't call you out individual for all those super chats. We appreciate it. We appreciate all of our fans that belong to our YouTube. You're a subscriber. All our Patreon fans that actually pay to watch this show monthly. We love you guys. And I mean, Joe Murray just threw us $10, and that's a lawyer's $10.
Wow.
Thank you, Joe. Joe, you have the most unbelievable story, and I mean, it's great that you're still doing things. I mean, you got any movies coming up or what?
No, but I'm working on a TV show. I mean, when I say it's not in production or anything. I'm working with some writers and an FBI guy that it's going to be based on. And I can't say anything because it's not out there yet. So hopefully we can get that going.
Prime, Amazon Prime, Netflix. I could see it. I could see an extended series because that's what's going on right now with production. They want, they take these movies and then they break them down.
Yep.
Down to these individual stories, and you can go on that story.
I know. Yep. And just my podcast, Deep Cover, The Real Donnie Brasco. So
I'm going to subscribe to it.
Yeah, me too, man. I can't wait to hear it.
Well, start with like I say, the first season we got 19 episodes on there. Yep.
How long do you go per episode? You go for an hour?
No. Usually 30 minutes. Now the one tomorrow with Michael, that's 51 minutes because it was so good we didn't want to break it up into 2 episodes.
Yeah.
So we went the whole 51 minutes.
He's actually a hell of a good interviewer. He really is.
Yeah,
he's a smart guy.
He's a smart guy. Yeah.
Joe, one last question before we sign off because we're at an hour and 2 minutes. We usually try to keep it around an hour. Are you still looking over your shoulder?
Not really. I mean, I don't advertise who I am where I live, and
are you strapped when you go out?
Yeah. Well, everybody is, aren't they?
He's got 14 guns on him, but he's not paranoid.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not a gun guy.
I'm not either.
I'm not a gun guy. But I keep a little one because everybody's crazy today. I mean, you read the Post every day, drive-by shootings. I mean, it's so. Do you want to be caught with your pants down there?
Never leave home without it. That's my.
Right?
When I go into the city, I'm strapped.
You got to be nuts.
Up here in Westchester, if I go to a mall, I'm strapped.
Yeah, I mean,
and then there's certain places that are 2-clip locations.
He mows his garden. He mows his lawn.
With an ankle holster on, just in case.
Just to let the neighbors know.
What I always found on the police department, it was the biggest empty suit that carried the most guns.
Yeah, I tell you what, even when I was on the job doing, I mean, I always had my gun because you had to, but I was never really a gun nut, I mean,
what did the FBI guys carry? 45s?
Now they were carrying, they had, I don't know if they're carrying the 45s or the SIGs now, or the Glocks.
Oh, the 6 Hour 9 or the Glock?
Yeah, a lot of them are carrying Glocks. I think. I don't know. When my last years, we had the 6 Hour. That's what we had. Yeah.
Joe, it's been such a pleasure meeting you.
Oh, my pleasure.
And I'll tell you something. You're a regular guy too. Cops are cops. Cops are cops, right? You can go to a cop all over the world, and you all have the same sense of humor. We're all ball breakers. Yeah, and it's great to have had you on the show. Final thoughts, Mark.
I just want to say it was an honor.
My pleasure.
I'm a big fan. God bless you.
Oh, thank you.
All the best.
Thank you.
Coming on.
And when next time I go down to Florida, I'm going to reach out to Starkman, and if you're around,
me too.
I'll take you out for a half a beer.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
All right. For
All
all
right,
you
guys.
police off the cuff fans,
Thank you
this
very
is
much.
a
Take care.
great show with Joe Pistone. Everyone, good night. Thank you so much for watching.
God bless.
God bless.